before I went out to another one, and that was up in Center Square.
Another
That's
farm?
between Norristown and Doylestown. Remember you told me the story about
Yeah.
Beecham? And I didn't know I was living as his neighbor, but I learned that later in years.
This is another farm.
Decidedly another farm. It's in Pennsylvania. So, but I stayed there a very short time, about 5 months. I worked harder on that farm than I did on.
Did you see your mother these years?
I learned later that she had worked in the laundry. And she was working in one of the rollers. They had got a finger caught and it just drew the dog and thing out. And I think that's the reason she didn't show up. But she thought, well, kids taken care of, probably is getting reports. And all the time I was under the impression I was the abandoned guy in there. So that made matters worse. But, well, and so I came back. A home representative came out. I'll tell you, you gotta cut me off with the first.
Bad. What was the name of the farmer? Dewberry?
Yeah.
Bad? Was he mean?
No.
No? Just
Oh, he was a very nice person. She, I don't know, there's a distance between us. So I'm the quiet guy. But the other kid they had there before me, he was a boisterous youngster. He would rise her and all that kind of stuff. She just loved that kind of thing. Because I was a little more quiet, I began to think, I'm not really looking for her as a suspicious person or something like that. So I got out of there. I came back, and I'm trying to think. Oh, I must have been home maybe 3-4 months or something like that.
What do you mean home? Where?
They were at the home.
At the home. What's the name of the home?
Northern Home for Friendless Children.
Northern Home for
Friendless.
Friendless Children.
Wait, that was originally built. It was a mansion was taken over by a group of people. I would have to sit up front and drive it. Man and his wife would sit back here. And if he ever looked like a farmer, he was it. But,
Surrey with a fringe on top, huh?
yeah. That was all of them.
What's his
You
name?
know where we,
What's his name?
Dewberry. Dewberry.
Okay.
And, but when I would just sit there and watch that thing, I was so ashamed to ride right down to the
Why?
city.
Why?
Right down to the city street, the main street in the city. Oh, gee, and all everybody's riding a bike, automobile.
Oh.
Oh boy, that was something.
How long were you there?
Not very long. I want to get the hell out of there now. I stayed there about maybe 3-4 months, something like that. But they would have the minister come out and visit them. And they would set them up against the wall in a barn. And I could look out the house and look over and see the minister sitting, I know it's bored to death. What is that to sit through it all? Well, that went along fine. Well, when I got on the third place, we started to go into something. We moved from there to about 450 acres.
Now wait a minute. The third place,
Third place.
450 acres.
Now 450 acres. It was 2 farms combined.
And that was Baptist.
Baptist. And there were typical farmers too. It wasn't too much. As a matter of fact, they were just putting up telephone poles to convey electricity. And they had just wired up were wiring up the barn. So we had originally, when I first went in, we put a Delco system in to generate electricity.
For the barn?
After the wiring was done, plus the poles weren't lined out there to get out, current out there. They had a big argument politically. So finally they won, they got that thing cleaned up. They had milking machines there. And
Now, are these the same kind of milking machines where you have a suction on
That's-
each teat of the cow?
each, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
And went through that, you just watched, they had a little gauge on the tank.
Yeah.
That's it, you could put a little pressure on the, and that would draw the final milk out.
Mhm.
But you had to go and strip by hand.
Oh, you did, at the end.
And, anyway, we got through that, it took good, that was 100 head of milking cattle. And that was when you had the hospital.
Well, now see, you got me already.
Yeah.
You've been a farmer. I didn't have the farmer down here.
Well, there we go. Well, anyway,
Milk dairy cattle.
yeah, I'm talking about Jerry, and he says I'm a farmer.
Pranks ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Had more jobs than I've had, which is not surprising. Since, hell, I'm only 57 years old, he's 91, so he should have had a few more jobs.
Yeah. So anyway, you know you had the hospital in that door and stuff. It's 40 minutes to a half hour ride through the whole business. And that was roll it, put the milk in cans, roll it out, put it through the cooler, take it off the cooler, and put a fresh can there because you know you're always filling up.
Now you pour the cans into a cooler
Yeah.
and then
Up in the cooler.
and then refill them later.
Come down, just same as
Mm-hmm.
what they call it, distilled engine. And that's the way we called it. But we kept it in cold water
Mm-hmm.
overnight. Usually when I get ahead, the rest of the people would come in and do the stripping. I didn't have too much to do.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of the cattle, and the little fellow would take the milk into the creamery. My day be done, I get ready for school. And mess around there, and I get in trouble, do all kinds of things. I didn't have any defenses for it, so I just took what came. But we had a good time with it.
It's hard work early in the
One
morning.
time, yeah, they had a horse trough out in front of the school building. Another guy got tough and we broke the dog in the aisle. We got thrown out of school, we got put in the face.
What did you break?
The handle on the pump.
On the handle?
I said cast iron handle. So the kid got it fixed, thing like that. I didn't hear too much about it. The trouble is, the son-in-law of my boss lived right across the street, you know, and I got blamed for a fire that I started up there. I didn't start it.
You didn't start it.
I suggested to a guy who looked as if he was easily led,
So
and what was happening, they put waste paper in there, and I saw the doggone, you know, the pipeline disconnected. I thought, geez, that's going to be full of smoke. Hey, you light the fire up, it is, you know, so like, whatever. He lit it up and I'd walk out. Unfortunate part, somebody heard me say that. I got blamed for it.
well, you deserved it.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Now that's farm number 3.
Yeah, that's it. That's the last farm.
Last farm.
So anyway, I remember the teacher saying, "Oh, I'm looking for great things for this kid." I said, "You're very foolish. I'm not going to be great." But I did all right.
Now you're about 13 now.
Yes, yes.
So where do you go now?
Oh, I had this hip business again to give me trouble. That's when the bone started to relax and bend a little bit, you know.
I didn't know that.
That's when the original of it. So they took me back to examined it for, they got surgeons out.
Now, is this at the school again?
No, this is in Philadelphia.
Back to the home.
Back home. They took me to hospital and the surgeon in charge of affairs as far as I was concerned. And he examined the thing and took me before a lecture group
Huh.
and
Well, it's big.
showed my business off and like that. I was exhibited what kind of sex I had. But anyway, after it was all set up, said we got to put some weight on it. I'd gone this way, you know, but not too much this way.
Mhm.
And so finally, they said, well, you go back and finish your school. And I had to finish out the 8th grade. I had no trouble with it. I was through about 2 o'clock. They were having the same trouble we're having now. Baby boomers. And only they didn't build schools for it, but they just changed the thing and had a shift system.
Yeah, yeah.
And we went through that. Some of the kids would start 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of times we started at 8. I'd be through at 2. Well, I had between 2 and 6 with all that time on my hands. I didn't have to go home.
Home to the home.
That's right. Which was just right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. For some reason or other, I was afraid I was going to get in some mischief. So I looked around for a little bit of a job doing. I got jobs in there boy for a while. And I you put that down.
Damn, Frank.
So I did the mailing and I cleaned up the shop and I put
What kind of shop?
I owned some kind of mechanical shop. I don't remember the word exactly what it was. But I set the tools all up for them. Boy, they took everything. I think word got around that by the time I overcome that surgery,
You had surgery.
yeah, I cast on the leg for a long while. And when they took cast out, it took several years to get enough strength back enough to operate. So they covered it all up till then. And
What was this injury from?
Wasn't an injury, was it?
What was this from? Why did you have the surgery?
The bone got soft.
Oh, just a...
I don't, they're called coxifera.
On your hip.
Yeah.
Where'd they cut you?
Here's a joint about an inch and a half out, and then there's a bend down there, and it comes down your leg. And well, they cut up and go for a while.
Or here in the side or where?
No, right at the hip.
Huh.
Right at the hip joint. So when they claimed it broke the cast, I can understand how they broke the cast and all that. That thing went back in shape and never did do much about bringing it out for me. I was just a little short. But then later on, back in the 80s, that's when I had that surgery there, the arthritis had set in the joint.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I got things straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I always thought it was an injury, like you fell off a train or something. Did you have something like
No, I was very young at that time. About 5 or 6. I had followed a guy that lived in the same house where my mother was housekeeping. And I followed him up to the station up the next station. I don't know why, I just walked behind him. I wanted to here's when I was really good. When I finally wised up, it was dark. I was not going to walk home in the dark. No way. What did I do? I went to the station platform and I waited for the train to come in. My gosh, it did. When it started off, I jumped on the back end of that train and went down, and I found I wasn't gonna stop at the station, I was gonna, as far as I was concerned, it was gonna go to India or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never go home, I didn't like that. I was one late, and I was off. That train was going to hell. I landed on my head. A nurse. I know that's a big tracks, I mentioned that. Came across the tracks where I was and heard me howl and cry. She picked me up and took me in the house, and it turned out to be the house where we lived.
Oh, wow.
So I was wrapped up in the head over that.
So your falling on your head explains everything.
Everything, and then a little bit more.
Yeah, okay. So, back to the farm. You're done with farm number 3. No more farm life. You're back to the home. You work for as an errand boy at this shop.
Yeah.
And you're about 12 or 13. Now, when do you start? What happens between 12 and 13?
We still got something else to do there. I was around home for all that while. I never did go out because I didn't have the full strength to do the work.
Between 12 and what age? What age did you leave the home?
When I was about 16.
So you had about 2 or 3 more years maybe.
Well, it took all that time to get enough strength up. I didn't let them come back very quickly.
After the operation.
Yeah. And of course, I didn't know how to handle it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of those things. They called this hospital down there. They were the cure you could. Everybody had a reputation. Jefferson Hospital. Turns out the guy did the training, worked on my tooth business, was trained was educated in Jefferson Hospital. I thought of it for a while.
Oh, yeah. Boy. And they'll get you one way or the other.
So you stayed between the ages of about 13 and 16, you were at the home.
Yeah.
And you worked?
Whenever I felt as if I wanted to go out and do something, I did it.
Okay, but you went to school.
Yeah, but I did most of the stuff, the little chores around the place.
Okay.
Like I go to, I put a bundle of shoes on my back and walk around the corner, down the block and around the corner, and into the penitentiary, Eastern Penitentiary, State Penitentiary. There they had a shoe shop, and they did our shoes. And that was one of the jobs I did. Another is I'd be out watching the corners where the kids cross the streets, going away horses. And there wasn't too much truck the road.
Wait a minute, let me think now. 19, 7, and 13, so it's 1920.
1920.
That about right?
Yeah.
So you got a lot of cars now.
Yeah, they don't start up. They really don't start up until 1925. Pickup trucks, they never started yet. They were somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 before they started to. Then pickup trucks, then they were bought as station wagons. Remember, there used to be a wooden station wagon. But I had a good time.
What's the first job? What was it? What?
Did you graduate from high school then? At the home? No.
You know what? I'll tell you, there's something that happened. Is that one of the engineers came out of the office at the old end of power plant. And they evidently have been talking about how neatly and how little worried, no worry, don't give a damn about any of it. I hadn't had one. The general attitude is I just didn't worry about anything. And they talked about that quite a bit. And they went back and checked the blueprints against my work. Unbeknownst to the time that I was there, and they found out everything checked out beautifully. So evidently one guy was designated to find out if I had any engineering. And he came over and asked a point blank question. He says, "Are you an engineer?" I'll tell you something. I don't have a high school diploma. No? He didn't believe me. He turned and walked out of the aisle, out the door. So that was it.
So how did you then leave the home? What did you go do the day you left the home? Why did you leave and where'd you go?
I've gotten into some mess.
Madeline.
And the Board of Lady Managers met that day. And I've been continually, and that's a mischievous age, 16.
Exactly what mischief did you get in, Frank?
I push kids or small kids around. I would upset them. If I got hold of paintbrushes or something. I mean, I learned it was not supposed to be. Although I had the job of washing pots and pans out in the kitchen, I had the advantage of all the goodies when together. Then, after the board meeting, they called me up there and gave me the deal about it. So I came down, was walking into the living room, the recreation room, and I saw a piece of cardboard the size of that one, and I just picked it up and I skimmed it across and I see it float through the air. Just then the secretary opened the door. "Frank, come on up here. You're done." That ended. So they called the Big Brothers in. Big Brother Society.
Big Brother Society.
Yeah, that's a club all throughout the country. Big Brothers and Sisters.
Same one now today.
Same ones,
Yeah, there was no Big Brothers then. They had a boys club in downtown. Pool tables, carplexes, swimming pool, gymnasium, all nice things. Big money people put money in, and I made it up. And that was a very good place. Then they had the offices, and there was an employment office. And they would get these boys jobs around, and some of them did very well. And each would be assigned a big brother. I was assigned a lawyer. He was a Scotchman. I didn't know get in Scotch business. And that got to be a long association. And eventually I got...
What was